Well, the last time the Eagles were here at Lambeau Field, it was an upset victory of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. December in Green Bay is a whole different animal, but the Birds arrive eager to match last season's result. Here's your weather report from our friends at NBC 10, and it is December at Lambeau, but maybe not as cold as in past years. I'm sure the Eagles, probably and the Packers too, not complaining about that. Not your historic frozen tundra type of game today. And we are cozy and warm in studio as we welcome you to the Kickoff Show presented by Axalta. I'm Amy Campbell and joined as always by Fran Duffy. Still miss sitting next to you, my friend. Fran, every game is critical now if the Eagles want to stay in the division race, and today it is the Packers and Aaron Rodgers playing perhaps his best football yet.
Yeah, no question, and for a lot of different reasons too, Amy, which we will get to here in the show. But the Eagles have a big test today, no question.
All right, we are going to head back over to Lambeau as the Eagles are warming up, and as always, we thank PA Lottery for bringing us the Eagles warm-ups. The 8-3 Packers just one home loss this season. The Eagles looking to unlock this offense that has been a bit of a head-scratcher. Starting right here with this guy, Carson Wentz, and he's getting one of his favorite targets back today. Zach Ertz back in the lineup. Fran, what kind of boost is that going to provide?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week here on the show, Amy. Getting Zach Ertz back in the lineup is a big deal for Carson Wentz. I know the production has not been to the level that we expected when Zach was healthy, but at the end of the day, anytime you can add a reliable weapon in the middle of the field, third down, red zone that Carson Wentz has faith in, that's going to help matters, right? Because you're going to take anything you can get to try and give this offense a bit of a shot in the arm as they get into the final quarter of the season. So having Zach Ertz, number 86, back in the lineup, that's a big deal for Carson Wentz.
Of course, and 3 tight ends active today when you include Richard Rodgers and Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz back, Fran. I know we talked about little 13 personnel last week. That could be something to keep an eye on today. Could get really interesting. Let's talk about this Green Bay offense. They have just been so powerful this season. This is the #1 scoring offense in the NFL, almost 32 points per game. Aaron Rodgers, first in the league in touchdowns, 33 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He has thrown more than 3,000 yards. And Jim Schwartz just talking about how he has so much respect for Aaron Rodgers, saying, look, I think he's taken his game to another level this year. He is so efficient. He always makes the right decision, willing to check the ball down there, hardly ever in the wrong position. What kind of a challenge is it going to be to stop this Packers offense today?
It's going to take everybody because you have to be assignment sound playing this group. With all that they do, they've got some of the best pre-snap motion in the NFL. They've got a lot of versatile weapons, a wide variety of weapons, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs out of the backfield who are all pass catchers and available targets for Aaron Rodgers. And at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers also happens to be one of the elite talents at the position in the NFL. So when you pair great scheme with great talent, you're going to have great offense, and that's exactly what Green Bay has right now.
All right, we're going to take a look at the offensive starters here for the Eagles. Of course, I mentioned the big story of today is Zach Ertz back in the lineup, and we talked a little bit about the boost that he's going to provide. But let's talk about this offensive line. Again, every week I say it, a new combination of guys. Jack Driscoll starting at the right tackle position, the rookie. What have you seen from him this season? He has played a lot, especially for a rookie on the offensive line, and has performed relatively well.
Yeah, I think he's never looked out of water, or like a fish out of water. He's never looked out of place, right? I think when you look at Jack Driscoll, going back to week 1, I mean, he found out he was going to have extensive playing time against Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan and Montez Sweat of the Washington football team. And I think really he's right from the jump, you liked what you saw. So excited to get to see Jack Driscoll get another start here. He's been banged up over the last few weeks, so excited to see him back in the lineup. But Amy, I mean, it's one thing to read it, but to say the phrase out loud that the Eagles have had 20 different combinations along the offensive line this year, like that is bananas. That is crazy, borderline unheard of in the NFL, and it just speaks to the adversity that this group has had to fight through.
That's a great point. It's something that I feel like we've almost gotten used to it because we say it every week, but it really is astounding and unheard of and not something that anyone else is going through. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. Look at the defensive starters here this week for the Eagles. A big challenge for them going up against a Packers offense. And I thought this was a really interesting stat here from NFL Media Research. The first half is so important here. The Packers are first in the NFL in first half points, 210 points this season. They are scoring fast. A very efficient offense like we talked about. What kind of challenge is it going to be for this defense today?
Well, you've got to prevent that from happening, right? I mean, they've had some of the best opening scripts in the NFL this year. They've come out and they've jumped on top of teams. We know that the Eagles' offense has been the opposite of that. They have not done well in the first half of games, in the first quarter, first drives of games for the most part. So I think ultimately the Eagles have to come out and try and limit this Green Bay offense. It's going to be a lot of run game, but it's going to be play action, pre-snap motion, get Aaron Rodgers outside the pocket. And again, with all the different weapons they have, it's not like you can just lock in and say, all right, we've got to make sure we hammer out this or stop that. They're going to get the ball to everybody. They're not afraid to throw the ball to Aaron Jones out of the backfield, deep down the field. Davante Adams is the best receiver in the NFL, but it is not a tight funnel with this passing game. They're going to spread the football around. Aaron Rodgers is not bashful about that. When he's got Adams one-on-one, he'll take it. But it's not like he's just going to lock in on him. He will spread the football around in this offense.
Well, good to see this guy out there today. Darius Slay is active. There were some questions about his status for today's game after he was dealing with a calf injury, limited in practice this week. All signs point to seeing him matching up against Davante Adams, as he's that shutdown corner who is going up against typically the team's best receiver. He did not have his best week last week against DK Metcalf, and he has owned that. He came out. My guess is that he wanted to talk to the media after that game, because he came right out and said, look, that was on me. I missed every 50-50 ball, and I'm taking responsibility for that. I'm interested to see, first of all, how he looks today from the injury standpoint in that matchup. And look, that's why he came to Philadelphia, to be that shutdown corner that can match up against a team's top receiver. You talk about the weapon that Davante Adams is. He leads the NFL in receptions per game, 8.2, and receiving yards per game. 100 yards per game is his average. He has 11 touchdowns this season. I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup to watch today, friend. What do you think that one could look like?
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be one of the biggest one-on-one matchups in this game. And when you look at how the Packers use Davante Adams, they don't just move him from left to right. They like to move him into the slot. And the issue for this Eagles defense is trying to figure out how you're going to match up. If you want Darius Slay to shadow Davante Adams and he moves into the slot, that means you have to be okay with taking your slot corner, Nickel Roby-Coleman, and moving him outside. That might be against Allen Lazard, who is 6'4", 6'5", 225 pounds. That might be against Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who is 6'2" plus and can run low 4.4s. You have to be okay with that matchup. So, does that mean the Eagles will, if Davante Adams moves inside, are they okay with Nickel Roby-Coleman being one-on-one? Do they check to more of a zone look? That's going to be kind of the cat and mouse game that I personally will be trying to keep an eye on, watching it on TV, but certainly watching the film back on Monday. That'll be one of the things I'm very early going to be watching in this matchup.
Well, and I think when you're looking at this Packers offense, the two big words that I think of are efficiency and play action. Aaron Rodgers leads the NFL with 14 passing touchdowns and a high passer rating, 133.8 passer rating on play action passes this season. That's according to NFL media research. He's used play action on 26.5% of his dropbacks. So they use that a lot in this offense. And again, Jim Schwartz talking about the efficiency that this Green Bay offense has taken it to the next level. Aaron Rodgers, there's never been a question to me about Aaron Rodgers being the most talented quarterback in the NFL. I think there's been a lot of other things that have kept him from playing to the potential where the team is winning at the level that it could be. This matchup with Matt LaFleur seems to really be hitting its stride with him there in Green Bay. And I think when you're looking at just Aaron Rodgers and what he's able to do, nothing is wasted. He's also the master of the free play. So you really have to be fully mentally locked in going up against this Packers defense. And that's really going to be the challenge for the Eagles today.
Yeah, I love the last point you made, too, about the free play. The Eagles' defensive line, they've got to make sure they are wired into the snap count. Do not jump off sides, because Aaron Rodgers will make you pay in those situations. But, to your earlier point about just the way that he's playing, look, Aaron Rodgers over the last few years has been playing a little bit wild, outside of structure. It hasn't been pretty watching him play. I know the production has been there at times. He's had good games for sure, and certainly has always been one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. But when you watch the film, there are plays that kind of leave you scratching your head saying, man, why didn't he throw this? Why did he make this decision? Why did he turn the ball over here? Why did he take this sack? This year, you are not seeing that. And the Eagles have played this version of offense numerous times here this season. You go back to week 2 against Jared Goff, Sean McVay and the LA Rams, Kyle Shanahan with the San Francisco 49ers. You go to Cleveland, with what they're doing. Really, they've seen this offense a handful of times already. But this offense is executing at such a high level. And the difference is, when you've got Aaron Rodgers back there. My opinion personally, Amy, is that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback running this scheme. I said this week on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. You can find that wherever podcasts can be found. Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback executing this scheme maybe ever, but certainly as far back as John Elway in Denver when Mike Shanahan was winning Super Bowls. I think if you look at Matt Schaub and some of the other guys that have been running it, they've been guys that are have been solid starters, but not high quality impact and take you to the Super Bowl, with based purely off their arm talent kind of starters. And that's certainly what Aaron Rodgers is. And you could, again, like I said at the top, great players, great scheme. You're going to get great offensive football.
Well, and one of the stats I want to highlight, too, that to me is absolutely astounding. I've had this game really circled on my calendar since the schedule came out, because a lot of people are talking about how the Eagles won in September last time they were there. A great upset win, and, of course, great history, a great taste in your mouth, and something to build on today. But a September in Lambeau Field, very different than a December. Aaron Rodgers, as a starter in December at Lambeau, 19-3. That is pretty something to really pay attention to. Let's talk about the Green Bay defense and how they match up against the Eagles offense. Another thing I want to point out about the Eagles offense is that Jordan Howard is active today, and he had 3 touchdowns against Green Bay when the Eagles won last September. So this is a Green Bay defense that you can run the ball on, and they have plenty of options at running back today with Jordan Howard joining the fold.
Yeah, I think when you look at, trying to get Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard going downhill, I think that should be a big part of this game plan today. That would be what I would expect. I would expect that we'll see plenty of those guys on early downs early in this football game. We'll see if they can kind of get into a rhythm moving the ball. Very similar to what the Eagles did a couple of weeks ago out in Cleveland. The weather was a little bit different, obviously, and the elements did play a factor there. But remember that opening drive. It was Miles Sanders run, Sanders run, Sanders run, Boston Scott run, Scott run, Scott run. They get down inside the 5-yard line. Ball ends up on the ground for a fumble and a turnover, and the game kind of turned from there in terms of what the plan of attack was. But ultimately, I would expect a very similar kind of plan of attack for the Eagles today. I would expect plenty of Miles Sanders, plenty of Jordan Howard, plenty of Boston Scott, Corey Clement, getting those guys going downhill against this Green Bay front. Try and keep that pass rush off of Carson Wentz's back, because while the numbers have not quite been there for the Smith Smash brothers with za'Darius Smith and Preston Smith, those guys are lethal, and especially last week, you could see that they started to turn the heat up a little bit against Chicago's offensive line and Mitchell Trubisky. Preston Smith in particular kind of picking his game up another notch. Za'Darius Smith, who's going to see most of Jack Driscoll here today, he is one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, bar none.
Well, and that was going to be my next point. Za'Darius Smith leading the team in sacks with 9 this season. That's 5th in the NFL, though he did not practice on Friday. He had I think it was an ankle injury. It's some type of injury on Friday, did not practice. And so I'm not sure if they've made the call on how much we're going to see him today yet or not, but definitely something to watch. I'm intrigued by what you think of that matchup against this Eagles offensive line that, like you said, the Jack Driscoll, possibly Za'Darius Smith matchup, whether those guys move around, and then just this offensive line that continues to be in flux, another group that is still getting comfortable in these roles, and this Green Bay front that does like to get after the quarterback.
I would say the one-on-one matchups are going to be important, but even more so, look, the Eagles have had issues picking up various stunts and twists this year. If you look at all the different stunts that defensive lines like to run, the Eagles have had some issues, and a lot of that has to do with the lack of continuity along the offensive line. When you're constantly rotating guys in and out, you're not able to build up that communication, that rapport of passing things off, that feel of the guy next to you, of when he's going to pass off and take on your guy. A lot of that has not been available to the Eagles. So when you look at Green Bay, you think Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator, he comes from Rex Ryan. It's going to be a lot of blitz, blitz, blitz. This year, that has not been the case. They've been blitzing less, but they run a lot of different stunts. And so the Eagles have to be prepared for those different pressure packages, because guess what? The Packers watch film too. They know that the Eagles have struggled a little bit in this area. My guess is they will be throwing a lot of different looks at this Eagles offensive line, especially off the right side, try and mix things up with who's coming from which angle and all the different 2- and 3-man stunts. I would imagine that they'll kind of empty the playbook here on 3rd down in this game.
Well, and this is a defense that has been much better at home than on the road this season. Of course, they do have that home field advantage. Real quick, let's just talk about getting after the quarterback on the other side. Aaron Rodgers this season has been sacked 11 times, much better than in past years, but Packers are without their starting center, Corey Linsley, today. How much do you think that could play a factor?
It'll be a big factor because my assumption is, that they'll probably start the rookie 6th-round pick, John Runyon Jr., at left guard. They'll slide the second-year lineman, Elkton Jenkins, from left guard into center. So you're going to get a rookie into the starting lineup. The right side of the offensive line has not been great, Amy. From a pure talent standpoint, you wouldn't put them up as one of the best offensive lines in the NFL from, left tackle all the way over to right tackle. Bakhtiari is outstanding. Jenkins, who is not going to slide into center, he's an ascending young player who's going to be a good pro for a long time. But outside of that, you wouldn't say that you were overly impressed. That being said, the scheme accounts for a lot of that with all the different motions and the jet sweep action and Aaron Rodgers rolling out of the pocket. That kind of protects the quarterback a little bit. And then Aaron Rodgers, he's going to set a personal record for getting rid of the football on time. His quickest release point of his career, that's what he's putting on film right now. He is not holding on to the football. That has been a plague of his early in his career. In this scheme, not so much. So that's a way that they also look to protect Aaron Rodgers and keep him upright.
Efficient.
Yep.
It is going to be a tough task for this defense today against one of the best quarterbacks that we have in the NFL today and historically as well. All right, as we bring things back into Philadelphia, we are getting ready to welcome in another member of our team, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro standing by. Dave, the last time the Green Bay allowed 30-plus points to an opponent, it was the Eagles. Can the Eagles use the 2019 win at Lambeau as a template to beat Green Bay today?
Yeah, I think you can, Amy, and let's understand that game really kind of turned things around for the Eagles in a sense that all three phases contributed. The big Miles Sanders kickoff return, an offensive line that didn't allow a single sack of Carson Wentz, Wentz using his backs and his receivers and his tight ends in the passing game, Jordan Howard with 3 touchdowns on the game, and just a very efficient, effective game. And a defense that, while it gave up 422 yards to Aaron Rodgers, limited into 2 touchdown passes, and had that big stop at the end of the game, the Craig James tip that ended up in Nigel Bradham's hands. So it is a template, but understand that the template requires near perfection and all 3 phases of this football team contributing, and they really haven't done that. We haven't seen a big play in the return game, for example. We haven't seen the offensive line play stoutly as it did in that game last year. And the defense, while they bent, they never broke against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no sacks, no turnovers in that game last year for the Eagles offense, to your point, Dave. What is your Fox Bet storyline of this matchup?
Well, look, we are all focused on the offense, and can anything be different with this offense that started, again, so slowly on Monday night? Yeah, okay, Zach Ertz is in the game and in the lineup, and that should help Carson Wentz from just a calming standpoint, from hey, I've got my security blanket out there in number 86. Of course, having Howard in, Eagles haven't run particularly well in short yardage or in the red zone. So I think we're looking for the offense to start a little bit faster here, Fran. All this talk this week about who's calling the plays and what's going to happen, and Doug not sure on Friday who would call the plays on Sunday. I think we'll get a good sense of that very early in this game. The Eagles, as you talked about the Green Bay Packers scoring so many points in the first half of games, the Eagles just 8.5 points per first half. They've been playing from behind virtually the entire season.
Yeah, the Packers are first in that category. The Eagles 29th in the NFL in that category. So certainly some room for improvement there. All right, Dave, let's get your Fox Bet key to the game.
All right, well, you mentioned a little bit, Amy, about the defensive line. To me, the defensive line has to dominate this game, especially that guard center position, that area there. So the defensive tackles, Hargrave and Fletch and Jackson, have to be great in this game. This is a Green Bay Packers team that can run the football, so stop the run and try to force Aaron Rodgers into some uncharacteristic mistakes. Here's a stat that just blows me away. Rodgers in the red zone, 24 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, best in the NFL. The Eagles' red zone defense hasn't been all that great, so today will require a couple of stops deep in Eagles territory.
Really tough to get a guy to make mistakes. A guy like Aaron Rodgers who does not make mistakes, to force him into mistakes. We'll see what the Eagles can do today. Dave, thanks so much. We'll catch up with you later.
All right, guys. See you after the game.
All right. Okay, Fran, what about for you? What is this one going to come down to for the Eagles?
Yeah, you've used the word efficiency time and time again to describe this Green Bay Packers offense. I'm going to throw 2 more words at you in terms of what their biggest tool is for that, the jet sweep. The Eagles have got to ground the jet sweep here in this game. Now, let me just real quick review. Jet sweep is when you bring a receiver or a running back from right to left or left to right in the backfield before the snap of the ball. The Packers like to use this to their advantage in the run game, and there's 3 ways that they're able to do that with their rushing attack. Number 1, you can use the misdirection element of it, right? You bring a receiver from one side to the next, try and get the defenders going one way, and then you hit them back the other way, right? So you have that misdirection element. The second part of it is that you're able to create some favorable looks for your offensive line, because if those linebackers take one false step in the opposite direction, now you've got offensive linemen up in your lap. You get them a little extra time to set up their blocks. Then the other part of it, and this is big for this Packers run game, cutback lanes. When you've got receivers going all over the place, you're stretching everybody out sideline to sideline, you're creating those well-defined rush lanes for Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. Some of the best cutback runs in the NFL this year have come from this Green Bay Packers offense. The Eagles have got to be gap sound. Rodney McLeod, back when the Eagles lost to the LA Rams, said that these guys did not do a good enough job living in the moment. What he means by that: read your keys, do your job defensively, stay in your gap. Do not try and get nosy. If you see guys moving all over the place, if the Eagles do their jobs defensively, you'll be able to ground the jet sweep. You cannot let it beat you in this game because the Packers use it as much as anybody.
Well, and Jim Schwartz said earlier this week that the Packers run the ball, quote, sneakingly well. He said, if that's even a word. I looked it up. It is a word, Coach. All right, so for me, my key to the game, when I'm deciding my key to the game, I do a bunch of research. I know that executing on the Eagles' part is one part of what determines the win, but I look at the other team, I look at their wins and their losses, I look at the stats, and I see if I can find a pattern between when they win and when they don't win. And so for Green Bay, it really is the turnovers. 8 wins and 3 losses, except for 1 win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's a team that struggled this season. When Green Bay wins a turnover battle, they win the game, and when they don't, they lose the game. And so if the Eagles can get some takeaways and avoid the giveaways, I think that at the end of the game, you're going to look at that number and you're going to determine the winner. And so, yes, I am beating a little bit of a dead horse here with this whole win the turnover battle key, but mark my words, at the end of this game, if you look at that number, that will be your winner. So that is what we are all watching in today's matchup. Let's send it over to Mike Quick and Merrill Reese at the link and get their players to watch for today.
Hi, Amy. Historic Lambeau Field, the site of this game between the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Quite a challenge. And Mike Quick, who is your Eagle to watch?
Again, this week it's simple for me. I think it's number 26, Miles Sanders. I'll keep my eyes on him. If the game goes the way I think it should go, the Eagles should run the ball, commit to running the football, and keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline. So Miles Sanders is my guy.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. However, there's another Aaron, and he's the Eagles wide receiver coach, Aaron Moorhead, and he said he feels the top draft choice, number 18, Jalen Reagor, is about to explode. So Jalen Reagor is my Eagle to watch. Back to you, Amy.
All right, thanks, guys. And, of course, Jalen Reagor, a bit of an offseason addition of sorts, but Javon Hargrave was a big offseason addition for the Eagles. And the defensive tackle came to Philly from Pittsburgh, ready to prove himself, but suffered a setback right away when he got injured and he missed much of training camp and the first week of the season. He's adjusting to a new home and a new defense and is still settling in the Eagles' defensive line. Hargrave joined Mike Quick for this week's one-on-one interview presented by Pond La Hockey.
Javon, thanks for joining us, man. You know, you signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. You make that trip across the state, but you can't even really get out and enjoy the city. Tell us about the restrictions of COVID and the things that you guys are dealing with.
Yeah, it's real tough this year. I guess everybody try to ask me, how's Philly, how's the life in Philly, but really it's just football. It's just football and going home right now. So I ain't really got to see what it is to do in the city. I was looking forward to seeing some basketball games and stuff like that, but I just been locked into this football stuff, and hopefully one day I get a chance to see how's life in Philly.
And also, you come in and you set back right away. You had a pec tear. How did that affect you adjusting to the new system and just the whole comeback from that injury?
Man, it was tough when I first got here because, I'm fresh on a new team. Nobody really know me. Trying to prove why they signed me. So it was just tough just watching and just being around the guys and not being able to participate and just learn the defense and, just grow in it. But I feel like I done came a long way from that and learned some real lessons by that adversity. So I think it made me a better player just going through that and just getting through that and just, getting better during the process.
You got 3 true alpha dogs at your position with Malik, Fletch, and yourself. How have those guys helped you in this transition, learning this defense and coming along?
It's not really any egos. They love to help me. When I first got in here, they was teaching me the plays and teaching me the techniques and just things for me to help me to play faster in this defense. So I think that's just been a great, valuable thing, just coming to a new system and having 2 great alpha dogs, like you said, just teach me and just bring me along with them.
You've dealt with now several mobile quarterbacks. Tell us about the difficulty of those guys, and especially the ones that have the mobility and the quick trigger.
I mean, it's tough because, you're trying to get to the quarterback, trying to get sacks, but, these veteran guys and mobile guys, so they know how to avoid that and get the ball out. But I think that's the NFL right now with these mobile quarterbacks. So it's just something that the game done revolved into. So we're not unfamiliar with it. So we just up for the challenge again.
And it doesn't get any easier. You got Aaron Rodgers this week, his center, Corey Lindsey, Bakhtiari, the tackle. They're really stout up front. You're generally trying to find a soft area in that offensive line. Have you found that with the Green Bay Packers?
They, like you said, they're a great bunch. We feel like we're a great bunch too, and just these type of games is what makes a player. So these are games you really love as a player, just going against the big dogs and being able to beat the big dogs. So we really up for the challenge and ready to try to put on a show.
Well, I don't want to put pressure on you, but this team went to Green Bay the last time they were there, and they upset the Packers. So best of luck to you in Green Bay.
Hey man, it's always pressure. So we just love the pressure. So we're looking up for the challenge. So appreciate that.
So Fran, Hargrave talks about how he's still settling in here. How do you think he's performed in Philadelphia so far?
Yeah, I think ultimately it was a little bit of a slow start, obviously, right? I mean, he came off not just the pectoral injury, but he was listed with a hamstring injury late in training camp as well. But really over the last month or so, Amy, I would say watching the film, he's really showed up. He's been a little bit more disruptive, especially against both the run and the pass. You're not always going to see that in the stat sheet, especially when you've got guys in the backfield like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and Derek Barnett. Some of those other guys are going to take up some of those numbers a little bit. That's just an unfortunate part of playing defensive line. But when you watch the film, especially again, over the last 3-4 weeks, I feel like his play has really started to spike up, getting up to after the quarterback and then also stopping the run as well.
Well, the coaches in the front office have talked about how even though he played in a very different defense in Pittsburgh, they saw the skills that showed he could make an impact in Philadelphia. What does he bring to the defense, and more specifically, what adjustments has he had to make here?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you go to Pittsburgh, it is read and react. You're going to stand up at the line of scrimmage and try and find the football. In this Eagles scheme, it is no read and react. It is get into the backfield and wreak havoc. They felt that watching him on film, he had those tools in his body, and I think that has shown as he's gotten healthy this year.
And of course, with the Packers center out today, could be some opportunity to get after Aaron Rodgers. We'll have to keep an eye on it. All right, everyone, there is still time to be in the stands at Lincoln Financial Field this season with an Eagles fan cutout. Fan cutouts printed by Rico are only $35, and orders of 4 or more receive a $5 discount per cutout. Order today at philadelphiaeagles.com/cutouts. All right, time for a quick break here for us on the Kickoff Show. On the other side, we've got our final thoughts before game time. The Philadelphia Eagles and Axalta Coating Systems have built a roster of all-pro teachers. Go to philadelphiaeagles.com/Axalta All-Pro Teachers to view this year's list of outstanding recipients. All right, Fran, final thoughts before today's matchup, before we give the big 15-minute warning?
Yeah, well, we're just about 15 minutes until kickoff, which means you guys at home have got 15 minutes to save 15% or more on your car insurance by switching to Geico.
And we will do that every time. We will remind you. All right, that brings us near the end of our show. Remember to join us right after the game is over, right back here for the post-game show presented by Rico, as Ike Reese joins Fran and myself for instant reaction and analysis. And of course, we'll hear from coach and players live. For now, we have a battle of historic franchises at Lambeau in December as the Eagles take on the Packers. Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.